The calm before the storm. The galaxy was vast, filled with countless stars, planets, and civilizations, but Earth remained a quiet, almost forgotten world on the edge of the Milky Way. For centuries, humanity had stayed in its small corner, not involved in galactic affairs, slowly advancing with technology and knowledge. Earth's people lived simple lives, unaware of the storm that was about to change everything. Humanity had always been a resilient species. They had endured wars, natural disasters, and countless challenges, but they had never faced anything like what was coming. For now, life on Earth was peaceful. The days were filled with busy routines, with people working, studying, and raising families. The world seemed content, oblivious to the massive changes unfolding in the stars. Out in the depths of space, however, something was happening. A new force was rising. It was not human, not even close. A powerful alien empire, known as the Raxari Dominion, had set its eyes on Earth. Their reach had already extended across several systems, crushing civilizations weaker than theirs with brutal efficiency. But Earth was different. The Raxari had heard of this strange world at the edge of the galaxy, filled with people who had managed to survive against all odds, time and time again. The Raxari were a proud, aggressive species. Their technology was far ahead of humanity's, their ships faster and deadlier than anything Earth could dream of. They believed that they could conquer any world with ease. They were used to victory, to ruling over lesser races. When they saw Earth, they didn't even think twice about sending an invasion force. They assumed the people of Earth would bow to them, just like every other civilization they had conquered. Little did they know, humanity's fury was a force unlike anything they had ever encountered. On Earth, the first signs of trouble came quietly, like a whisper in the wind. Satellites detected strange signals coming from deep space, but most dismissed them as space debris or some sort of natural phenomenon. Few took it seriously. Governments focused on their own issues, fighting poverty, climate change, and political unrest. The world was distracted. And in this moment of peace, the Raxari made their move. The alien fleet entered Earth's solar system silently. They didn't need to make a grand announcement. They didn't need to send warnings. Their ships were invisible to human eyes at first, lurking in the dark corners of space. They moved with precision, encircling Earth like a predator stalking its prey. But as the first alien ships neared Earth, something unexpected happened. The people of Earth began to notice. A few astronomers spotted the strange objects in the sky, but their reports were dismissed as imagination or misinterpretation. The government satellites began to pick up strange energy signatures, but they were ignored in the daily rush of activities. Earth was too busy to worry about things in the sky. Then, one day, it happened. A massive black ship appeared in Earth's orbit. It was so large, it blocked out the sun. Its presence was overwhelming, suffocating. It wasn't just an invasion. It was a declaration of power. The Raxari were here. Earth's governments scrambled to make sense of it. Panic spread through the streets. People didn't know who these invaders were, but they felt the weight of something dark and powerful descending upon them. The Raxari made contact in the most arrogant way possible. They sent a message directly to Earth's leaders, demanding submission. The message was simple: bow before us or face annihilation. It was a cold, emotionless command, as if Earth's people were nothing more than ants beneath their boots. The message echoed across the world, leaving a chilling silence in its wake. For the first time in history, humanity faced an external threat of unimaginable power. But what the Raxari didn't know, what they could never have known, was the one thing that would make them regret ever setting foot in Earth's skies: humanity's unyielding spirit. In the midst of chaos, governments across the world came together. There was no time for division. Earth's leaders understood the stakes. They couldn't afford to fight among themselves. The world needed to unite, or humanity would be lost forever. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders began to work together, combining their knowledge and resources. What they lacked in technology, they made up for in resourcefulness and determination. But even as they prepared, the sense of hopelessness lingered. The Raxari had ships that could wipe out entire cities in seconds. Their weapons were powerful, their forces countless. How could humanity stand against them? The people of Earth could only wait, feeling the weight of uncertainty hanging over them. Were they strong enough? Was there hope for them at all? As the alien fleet hovered over Earth, the world held its breath. The calm before the storm was thick with tension, like the stillness before a thunderclap. The people of Earth had no idea what was coming. They didn't know how they would fight back, but one thing was certain: they would not go down without a fight. Something deep within humanity stirred. An ancient, primal fury. A force had awakened, one that no alien empire had ever encountered. The calm was over. The storm was coming. First contact. The world was in a state of shock. The alien ship that loomed above Earth was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Towering and dark, it blocked out the sun, casting an eerie shadow over the planet. It was a symbol of power, an overwhelming reminder that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. At first, there was silence. Governments around the world scrambled to respond, but no one knew how to react to an enemy so advanced. What were these beings? Where did they come from? What did they want? These were questions no one could answer. The only certainty was the threat they posed. After a tense 24 hours, the first contact came, not through peaceful communication or a diplomatic envoy, but through a cold, harsh message transmitted directly to every human on Earth. The words echoed in every language, every corner of the globe. Humanity, the voice said, "You are weak, insignificant. Submit to the Raxari dominion. Kneel before us, and we will spare your lives. Resist, and you will face destruction." The message was simple, chilling, and without mercy. Earth's leaders watched in disbelief as the broadcast continued, outlining the fate of their world. The alien fleet was not here to negotiate. The Raxari had come to conquer, and their patience was thin. If humanity resisted, they would crush them without a second thought. Fear swept across the globe like wildfire. People who had never worried about anything beyond their daily lives were now faced with the unimaginable. What could humanity do against such a superior force? The ships hanging in orbit were enormous, their technology far beyond anything Earth had ever developed. The aliens had weapons that could obliterate entire cities in seconds, and their ships were invulnerable to Earth's weapons. Despite the fear, one thing became clear: humanity would not kneel. The message of submission was met with defiance. Earth's leaders, though shaken, began to rally the people. Leaders of every nation, some old and others newly formed, made public statements of unity. The world could not afford to fight among itself now. The threat was too great, and only by standing together could they have a chance. A series of emergency summits were held, bringing together the best minds from every corner of Earth. Scientists, engineers, military commanders, and strategists were called upon to form a plan. What weapons did they have? What could they use to defend themselves against the Raxari? Every human was now a part of this fight, from the leaders to the ordinary citizens. Even those with no military experience were ready to contribute in whatever way they could. As the aliens continued their silent watch over Earth, humanity prepared. The global forces mobilized quickly. People began to wonder, could they really win? Could they survive? But even as preparations were made, many still doubted. How could humanity stand up to a race that had crushed other civilizations with ease? The Raxari had fleets of ships, advanced weapons, and technology far beyond anything Earth had. The gap in power seemed insurmountable. The feeling of helplessness was heavy in the air. Yet, amidst the fear and doubt, something strange began to happen. People started to talk about their history, their past struggles, and their determination. Stories of humans surviving against impossible odds began to spread, lifting spirits. The world was learning something important. The Raxari might have strength, but humanity had something else: Resilience. Throughout history, humans had always found a way to survive, to adapt, and to fight back. This time would be no different. In cities across the world, people began to prepare in their own ways. Scientists worked on developing new technologies. Soldiers and civilians alike began training, not just in physical combat, but in the unity of purpose. It was clear now. Humanity's strength would not come from superior weapons alone, but from their spirit, their unbreakable will to protect what they held dear. The Raxari may have believed humanity was weak, but they had no idea what they were about to face. The aliens had underestimated Earth. As the hours ticked by, the storm that had been brewing beneath the surface began to rise. Humanity was readying itself, not for defeat, but for the fight of its life. And then, just as Earth's forces began to take shape, a new message arrived. The Raxari were tired of waiting. They were giving humanity one final chance to submit. The countdown had begun. The aliens' demands were clear: submit or perish. The clock was ticking, and humanity now faced a choice: surrender to an alien empire or fight for their survival. The answer was simple. Earth would not submit. The hidden power of humanity. The countdown continued. Every day, humanity faced the crushing weight of the Raxari threat, and yet something incredible began to stir beneath the surface. Despite their fear, the people of Earth were not as helpless as the aliens believed. The Raxari had thought them weak, backward, unprepared, but they were wrong. Humanity had an edge that the aliens couldn't even comprehend: the power of ingenuity, unity, and an unyielding spirit. On Earth, military leaders, scientists, and engineers were working tirelessly, developing weapons and strategies that would have seemed impossible just weeks before. Countries that had once been rivals were now working side by side, sharing technology, resources, and knowledge. The entire planet had become a giant forge, shaping humanity's response to the Raxari invasion. Nations had put aside their differences, focusing on one thing: survival. For years, Earth had been advancing in secret, while the world's leaders had focused on solving earthly problems. Some of the most brilliant minds in human history had been working on something far greater: a hidden arsenal of technology designed to protect the planet in case of just such an emergency. Military bunkers deep in the Earth's crust, hidden weapons caches, and advanced spacecraft. These had all been kept secret from the public, part of a worldwide effort to ensure humanity could defend itself should an unknown enemy ever arrive. Now, that secret technology was being brought to light. Engineers quickly adapted Earth's existing technology, integrating new alien devices and theories into their designs. Scientists studied the signals sent by the Raxari ships, learning everything they could about their enemy's technology. The Raxari had been overconfident. They hadn't realized that humanity's ability to adapt and learn quickly would give them an advantage. The most unexpected part of humanity's response, however, was the sheer will of the people. In cities, towns, and villages around the world, ordinary humans began to step up. People who had never touched a weapon before were now being trained in combat, ready to defend their homes. Farmers, doctors, engineers, every profession was contributing in whatever way they could. From the youngest to the oldest, all were united by one single purpose: to fight back and protect Earth. The Raxari might have had advanced weapons, but they didn't understand the heart of humanity: the drive to protect what they loved, to preserve their families, their culture, and their world. That was something no alien force could take away. In underground laboratories, scientists had successfully developed the first prototype of a new weapon, one that could challenge the Raxari's technological superiority. It was called the Unity Beam, a concentrated energy weapon designed to pierce the Raxari ship's defenses. The Unity Beam wasn't just a weapon, it was a symbol. It showed that humanity could fight back, that they weren't helpless in the face of such an overwhelming threat. It took the combined efforts of scientists, military strategists, and engineers from across the globe to create, but they did it. It wasn't just the weapon that was powerful, it was the teamwork and resolve behind it. As the first tests were conducted, the results were promising. The Unity beam had the potential to disable the Raxari ships, at least temporarily. The aliens had relied on their overwhelming technological advantage. But now humanity had a weapon that could level the playing field. But this wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. Humans understood that the war would not be won with a single weapon. The Raxari were vast, their fleet enormous. The battle would be long and grueling, but humanity had learned an important lesson in the past weeks. They had discovered their true strength, not just in technology, but in their unity and determination. They had come together as a species, something the Raxari had never seen before, and that, more than anything else, was what would give them a fighting chance. The news of the Unity beam's success spread across the world like wildfire. Hope was rising. People had started to believe, not just in their leaders or their military, but in each other. The alien threat no longer seemed impossible to defeat. Humanity had something the Raxari couldn't comprehend, a collective strength born from a deep, unbreakable bond. As the final preparations were made, Earth's military forces began to assemble their own fleets of ships, combining advanced human technology with the alien devices they had managed to reverse engineer. The ships were not as advanced as the Raxaris, but they were fast, agile, and built for strategy. The humans weren't going to beat the Raxari with brute force. They were going to outsmart them. On the eve of the final confrontation, Earth's leaders made one last message to the people of Earth. It was simple, yet powerful. We are humanity. We are united. We fight as one. The countdown was nearing its end. The Raxari fleet hovered above the Earth, confident in their victory, still unaware of the storm that was coming. They had underestimated humanity before, and they would make the same mistake again. This time, humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their future. They were fighting to prove that no matter the odds, no matter the enemy, no one could ever stand in the way of their fury. The battle begins. The day had finally come. The Raxari fleet, vast and intimidating, hovered above Earth like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. The world had never seen such a terrifying sight. Hundreds of alien ships, each more powerful than anything humanity had ever faced, preparing to descend upon the planet. But humanity wasn't paralyzed by fear anymore. They were ready. On the ground, soldiers were in position, equipment loaded, and the world was holding its breath. The battle for Earth was about to begin. As the first wave of alien ships descended, a strange calm settled over the human forces. They had trained for this moment, prepared for every possible scenario. But as the alien ships drew closer, the truth became clear. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future of their species. The Raxari made their move. Massive warships launched their first volley of energy blasts, aimed directly at Earth's major cities. Explosions rocked the ground, and buildings crumbled as the alien ships fired without mercy. In those first few moments, it seemed like humanity's worst nightmare was coming true. The aliens were relentless, but humans were resilient. Just as the alien ships launched their attack, the Earth's defense systems activated. Hidden weapons, developed in secret over the years, came online. Energy shields appeared around major cities, absorbing the initial blasts. Fighter jets, outfitted with human-made laser weapons, took off from military bases around the world. These ships, though much smaller and less powerful than the alien warships, were faster and more agile. They didn't rely on brute force. They relied on strategy. Across the world, human pilots engaged in dogfights with the alien ships. The Raxari, expecting easy victories, were caught off guard by the speed and agility of the human fighters. Earth's ships danced through the sky, dodging blasts, weaving between enemy fire, and launching precision strikes at the vulnerable spots in the alien vessels. But the alien ships were still powerful. As the battle raged on, the Raxari quickly adjusted their tactics, focusing on Earth's defenses and bombarding the cities relentlessly. It became clear that humanity would need more than just technology to win. They would need something stronger, something deeper. In the heat of the battle, soldiers on the ground were fighting just as fiercely. Ground forces, armed with advanced human-made weapons, held off Raxari foot soldiers who had landed in key locations. The aliens, towering and fierce, were equipped with energy shields and weapons far stronger than anything the humans had. Yet it wasn't just the weapons that gave humanity the upper hand. It was the will to fight. Human soldiers didn't hesitate. They fought for their families, for their homes, for their entire world. No matter how fierce the alien invaders were, they would never be able to take away the human spirit. The unity and determination of the people of Earth became clear as every man and woman, soldier or civilian, joined in the effort to resist. As night fell over the battlefields, the first major shift in momentum occurred. The Unity Beam, humanity's secret weapon, was fired for the first time. A brilliant pulse of energy shot into the sky, striking a Raxari warship in the heart of its defense systems. The alien ship was crippled, its shields failing, and the ship plummeted toward the Earth's surface, exploding in a fiery ball of light. The battle was far from over, but the first victory was clear. Humanity had struck a blow. The aliens, who had believed they could easily crush Earth, now knew that they faced a much harder fight than they had ever expected. They underestimated humanity's will to survive. As the battle intensified, the people of Earth continued to surprise their invaders. Every alien ship that fell, every Raxari soldier defeated, only fueled humanity's resolve. What the aliens didn't understand was that Earth wasn't just a planet of people, it was a planet of warriors, of dreamers, and of survivors. And together, they had become an unstoppable force. The fight had only just begun. The alien fleet was massive, and the war would be long and grueling. But one thing had become undeniable. Humanity was not going to go down without a fight. And with each passing moment, the Raxari began to realize they had made the gravest mistake of their lives. They had thought they were invincible, that no one could stand in their way. But humanity had proven them wrong. As Earth's forces gathered for their next strike, the aliens knew that the cost of this war would be higher than they had ever imagined. The storm had arrived, and no one, not even the Raxari, could stand in the way of humanity's fury. The turning point. The first victory had come, but the battle was far from over. The Raxari, though shaken, were far from defeated. They had lost a warship, but they still controlled the skies, their overwhelming numbers continuing to push humanity back. Cities had been devastated, and the damage was severe. Yet, something extraordinary was happening on Earth. The initial shock of the invasion had worn off, and now, humanity was adapting, evolving in ways the Raxari never expected. The alien empire had always counted on fear, on the sheer power of their technology, to break the will of their enemies. But humanity was different. Where the aliens saw desperation, humans saw opportunity. Every loss, every battle fought, only fueled their desire to push harder, to fight smarter. They were learning from their mistakes. One of the most significant shifts came when human forces discovered something about the Raxari fleet that no one had expected. The aliens' technology, though powerful, had weaknesses. Their ships, while virtually invulnerable to traditional weapons, were susceptible to interference in their communications and energy systems. There was a vulnerability in their infrastructure, something they hadn't anticipated. Human engineers and scientists had spent countless hours analyzing the wreckage from the fallen Raxari ship, looking for any advantage. And finally, they found it. A flaw in the way the alien fleet communicated with each other. It was a small crack, a weak point in their massive technological armor. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. The world watched as humanity's best minds worked to exploit this discovery. A new plan was set in motion. Earth's military began to develop a special device designed to disrupt the Raxari fleet's communication networks, cutting off their ability to coordinate their forces. If successful, this would throw the alien fleet into disarray, allowing Earth's forces to strike harder and faster. But time was running out. The Raksari were relentless, and Earth's resources were stretched thin. Every moment counted. As the plan was put into action, the first signs of success came swiftly. The alien fleet began to experience strange glitches. Ships that had once moved with perfect coordination now found themselves isolated and confused. The communication lines that the Raksari had relied on for their battle strategy were severed, and chaos began to spread through their ranks. For the first time in this war, the aliens began to panic. This was humanity's moment. Earth's forces, equipped with the newly developed technology, launched their next wave of attacks. The fighters, once outmatched by the alien fleet, now had the upper hand. They struck with precision, targeting isolated ships and exploiting the Raksari fleet's vulnerability. The Raksari, who had once believed they could conquer any world with ease, were now fighting a battle they couldn't control. Their massive warships, which had once been symbols of dominance, were now becoming targets. The tide was turning. On the ground, human forces were also gaining ground. The alien soldiers, though still powerful, were beginning to retreat as their communication systems failed. Earth's armies pressed forward, reclaiming territory and pushing the invaders back. What had started as a fight for survival was now becoming a fight for victory. As Earth's forces struck blow after blow, the Raksari realized the scale of their mistake. They had underestimated humanity, thought they could crush them with sheer force. But now, they were facing a united, intelligent, and determined foe. The Raksari were beginning to understand what no other alien empire had ever considered. Humanity was a force of nature, and once it was pushed to its limits, it could not be stopped. As the first victory on a galactic scale became apparent, the people of Earth celebrated, not out of arrogance, but out of sheer relief. They knew the battle was far from over, but they also knew one thing for sure. They had changed the course of the war. The Raksari had never expected such resistance, and now, with their communications severed, their strategies in disarray, humanity was ready to push even harder. The turning point had come, and it was humanity's fury that had made it happen. Humanity strikes back. The Raksari fleet, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves on the defensive. The aliens, who had never truly considered that any species could challenge their might, were reeling from the consequences of humanity's unexpected strength. The strategic advantage they had once held was slipping away, and the chaos caused by Earth's new technology was growing. For the first time since the invasion began, the Raksari were forced to rethink their approach. Their ships, though technologically superior, could no longer move with the same precision. Their commanders, once so sure of their victory, now struggled to coordinate their forces. Panic spread through their ranks as human forces capitalized on every weakness, every glitch in the Raksari's communication system. The humans, once outclassed and desperate, were now emboldened. Armed with the knowledge and technology that had been developed in secrecy, the Earth forces struck with renewed ferocity. Fighter jets soared through the skies, evading alien fire with breathtaking agility. Human-made spacecraft, now equipped with alien technology that had been reverse-engineered, moved with precision, exploiting the cracks in the Raksari defense lines. On the ground, the situation was shifting as well. While the alien invaders were formidable, human soldiers had learned from every encounter. They adapted quickly to the Raksari's tactics, exploiting their weaknesses with every engagement. The aliens had underestimated Earth's ability to not only fight but to learn, adapt, and evolve in the heat of battle. In one pivotal moment, the Unity beam, humanity's secret weapon, was fired again. This time, the results were even more devastating. The Raksari flagship, a towering behemoth of metal and firepower, was the target. A single shot from the Unity beam struck its core, and for the first time since the war began, the Raksari flagship faltered. The alien ship shields failed, its energy systems collapsed, and it began to fall toward Earth, burning up as it descended. The fall of the flagship sent shockwaves through the Raksari fleet. This was a symbol of hope for humanity and a blow to the Raksari's morale. With the flagship in flames, the Raksari began to lose their grip on the situation. The alien forces, once overwhelming in number and power, were now struggling to maintain control. The human counteroffensive had caught them off guard, and the aliens were forced to retreat, not just from Earth's surface, but also from its orbit. The Raksari, who had expected to crush humanity with ease, now found themselves on the run. Yet, the battle wasn't over. Despite the successes, humanity knew that the war was far from won. The Raksari were ruthless and had vast resources at their disposal. Earth's forces had made great progress, but there was still a long way to go. The alien fleet, though retreating, was still a significant threat. It would take all of humanity's strength, intelligence, and unity to finish what had been started. But now, there was hope. The tide of the war had turned. The world could see it in the faces of the soldiers and civilians alike. The people of Earth had proven that they were not helpless, that they could fight back against an invader, no matter how powerful. The Raksari had learned that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and that was something they couldn't ignore. In the aftermath of the battle, as the alien ships retreated further into space, Earth's leaders called for unity once more. "We've struck back," they said, "but the war is not over. We must stay vigilant, stay strong. We will not rest until every last invader is driven from our world." The message was clear. Humanity had shown its strength, but they would not stop until their home was completely free. The Raksari had underestimated humanity's resolve, and now they would learn that Earth was a planet of warriors, of survivors. And the universe would never forget the fury of humanity. The final showdown. The Raksari had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. The retreat of their fleet had been a tactical move, but it was clear they were not prepared for the fury that Earth had unleashed. Humanity had proven its resilience, its ingenuity, and its capacity for unity. The Raksari, once so sure of their victory, now found themselves in a fight for survival. But the war was not yet won. The Raksari were powerful, and their fleet was vast. Even though they had retreated, they still had the strength to make one final assault, a last, desperate attempt to crush Earth once and for all. The countdown to the final confrontation had begun. This was it, the last battle. As the alien fleet regrouped and prepared for their final strike, Earth's forces began their own preparations. Every soldier, every civilian, every scientist, and engineer was now focused on one goal: to finish what they had started and defend their home. The stakes could not have been higher. Failure was not an option. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. The battle for Earth's future would take place in space. The Raksari, knowing they could not afford to lose their fleet, would launch their strongest forces to obliterate humanity once and for all. Their ships were massive, heavily armed, and still deadly. But they did not expect what was coming. Humanity's fleet had been built for agility, speed, and intelligence. They had learned from their mistakes and improved on the strategies that had brought them success. They had also perfected the use of the Unity beam, now even more powerful and capable of targeting multiple ships at once. But it wasn't just about weapons. It was about human determination. Every person who fought, whether in the sky or on the ground, was doing so not just for survival, but for the future of their children, their families, and their entire species. The final battle began as the Raksari fleet entered Earth's orbit with a barrage of firepower. The sky above Earth erupted in a fury of explosions and flashes of light. Ships on both sides moved at incredible speeds, exchanging fire, dodging blasts, and weaving through the chaos of battle. Human pilots were everywhere, launching precision strikes, using their smaller, faster ships to hit the Raksari where they were most vulnerable. On the ground, the human forces had not relented. Earth's military had continued to build, and their forces were now fortified and ready for whatever came next. The Raksari's foot soldiers began their assault, landing in major cities and attacking with brutal force. But humanity had learned. The civilian population, once scared and uncertain, had been trained, equipped, and prepared. The cities fought back with everything they had, pushing back the alien invaders at every turn. It was a final desperate push to keep their homes safe. And then, at the height of the battle, the unexpected happened. Humanity's final weapon was unleashed. The Unity Cannon, a powerful energy weapon developed as a last resort. It was the culmination of everything humanity had worked for, a massive weapon designed to take down even the largest of the Raxari ships. The cannon, mounted on one of Earth's newly constructed space stations, fired its first shot directly at the heart of the Raxari fleet. The beam was so powerful that it cut through several alien warships in a single strike. The aliens, once so sure of their victory, were now in full retreat. They had underestimated humanity's power, and now it was too late. The Raxari commanders ordered their remaining ships to flee, but it was clear they could not escape the wrath of Earth's fury. The final battle was over, and the Raxari were defeated. As the alien fleet vanished into deep space, Earth erupted in celebration. The war was won, but the victory was bittersweet. Countless lives had been lost, entire cities had been destroyed, and the scars of the invasion would be felt for generations. But Earth had proven something far more important: the true strength of humanity. Humanity was not just a species to be overlooked. They were survivors, warriors, and protectors. They had fought against an overwhelming enemy and won. The Raxari might have been a powerful empire, but they were no match for the fury of humanity. The people of Earth stood together, knowing that their world was safe. For now, the war was over, but the future was uncertain. Yet, for the first time in history, humanity looked to the stars with a new sense of hope, knowing they had the strength to face whatever threats might come. And the galaxy would never forget the fury of humanity, a force unlike any other, unstoppable and unyielding. The final showdown had shown the universe what Earth's people were capable of, and the message was clear: never again would anyone underestimate humanity.